What's going on, guys? We're going to start today by covering Section 2 of Chapter 27, Japan and Koreas. Section 2 is titled History and Culture. So, some of the key terms for today, we're going to talk about Kyoto, which was the former capital city of Japan, the shoguns, samurais, kimonos, and kimchi. So, first thing we're going to talk about is the history, okay? So, the Japan and the Korea's history were both very influenced by China, okay? China's scholars and missionaries brought Buddhism to the country, okay? That was one of the key factors in their developments, okay? Soon after, generations later, Buddhism became the majority of both of those said countries. Japan's emperors, shoguns, and samurai. The first government of Japan was based off China's, with a form of emperors ruling, with imperial capital being in present-day Kyoto. Okay, hundreds of years later, the emperor started to lose power to the shoguns. A shogun is a military leader. Serving under the shoguns are the legendary warriors, the samurai. The samurai are highly trained warriors of feudal Japan. So this area with the shoguns being in charge with the samurai as their defense army is called feudal Japan. And here's an image of a shogun. So what we're going to look at right here is the samurai society. Like every culture in any era, there's always going to be a class system. And here's the class system of Japan. You had the emperor, who was mainly just a figurehead at the top. You had the shogun, who had the true power in the area. He controlled and ruled on the emperor's name. The daimyo, which is these were lords who led armies of samurai. The daimyos are very similar to what governors would be. They will be in charge of a certain amount of land, and their job will be to relate information to the shogun. And samurais, those are the warriors that could serve either the shogun or the daimyo. And then the rest of the people in Japan were in the poorer class and had no political power. Right here, you have images what samurais will wear. Okay, and the one in the center, you see a statue basically showing a samurai holding a sword. What is his armor? What does he have on his helmet? Okay, each samurai, their designs were customized and fit their shogun, their era, or their daimyo. So now we're going to talk about the Korean history. So while Korea was heavily influenced by China, just like Japan, they did develop to become their own independent country. The only difference is that throughout Korea's history, they were invaded by multiple Chinese dynasties, feudal Japan, as well as imperial Japan. After World War II, the Koreas was taken away from Japan by the United States and became its own independent nation. This will not last because, as you all know, the Cold War started and the Koreas will be broken in half during the Korean War and have stayed there to this day. The North Korea, is basically a communist country where this government was backed and aided by China and the USSR, which is present day Russia. The South is a democracy, which is their form of government, and they are aided by the United States and NATO. And the NATO is basically formed of countries like Great Britain, France, Germany, and Canada, as well as other allies of the United States. Interesting fact, the Korean War has actually not ended. They are just at an armistice. Okay. The Japanese culture. So, major language of Japan is Japanese. Japanese has two different forms of writing characters, the kanji and the kana. Okay. Japanese has very rich customs and traditions. One of those is kimonos. That is a traditional Japanese robe, which you see in the bottom two images. And at the top, you're seeing what the Japanese language looks like. All right, so Korean culture. The people in North and South Korea speak Korean. Okay, unlike the Japanese, the Korean language is made of alphabets, not characters. In South Korea, most people are Buddhist and Confucius, with a small Christian minority. One of the longest lasting Korean foods is kimchi. Kimchi is a dish made of pickled cabbages and various spices. And that is all for today. We will continue section 2 on a different day. You guys stay safe. Have a good day.